In today's video, I'm going to be talking about low-dose naltrexone, or LDN.
For these people who are really sick, MS and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's and pemphigus and Graves' disease, who are being told you need to have an ablation tomorrow or whatever. Some of them get out of it with LDN, and then you can put them on the diet, rehabilitate their immune system, their gut flora, and you've got a real successful therapy.
Now, if you or somebody you care about has a chronic health condition, an autoimmune disorder or a chronic pain condition or anything that is chronic, and even if it's undiagnosed, I feel like this video might be helpful for you to at least become aware of this medicine. I've been on LDN since 2016, and it has drastically improved the quality of my life in conjunction with me changing a lot of things within my diet. It has really, really improved things, and that's part of what I'm going to be sharing in this video today. The reason that I'm taking it is for my autoimmune thyroid disorder, which is Hashimoto's, and in this video I'm going to be sharing some details about LDN, how it works, why I take it, and what it's done for me over the years. And I'm also going to share a resource with you if you have a problem, getting it prescribed. There is a way to do it online that is legitimate. Before doing that, I wanted to let you guys know that this video is in collaboration with my dear friend Claudia of Claudia Glows. She too has been taking LDN for quite some time now, and so her video is going to share her perspective and her experiences while taking LDN and what it's done for her and how it's changed her life. And so I'm going to link to her video and her channel below, and I really hope you check it out. She also has some really incredible content. She's very knowledgeable on health-related topics, supplements, skincare, you name it. She has some really, really great content. So I hope you'll watch hers as well and also subscribe to her channel. So if you have heard of naltrexone, or if it even sounds familiar, it is actually a medicine that's commonly given to addicts who are trying to get off of either drugs or alcohol, and the dose for that is 50 milligrams per day, I believe. Now, when it comes to low-dose naltrexone, the dose more often is in the range of 0.5 milligrams to 4.5 milligrams, much, much smaller than the one given to people for addiction issues. The way LDN works, this is really summarized, is that it binds to your endorphin receptors after you take it. After binding to the endorphins, like I said, you take it at night when you're going to sleep. It binds to the endorphins, and then that creates a situation where it blocks your endorphin production for a period of 4 to 6 hours at night. As a result, when that blockage stops, your body responds by trying to create 2 to 3 times the amount of endorphins, and that floods your system with the endorphins, and it has a lot of interesting properties when that happens.
The mechanism of action of LDN is widely debated. There are many studies showing that naltrexone not only works on the opioid receptors for which it's licensed, but on multiple other receptors and biological systems. There's two main sort of stays of thought. One is that it boosts the amount of something called methencephalin, which is a natural happy hormone in your body. So that's an endorphin boost, and that appears to have an anti-inflammatory effect. So that's one of the most long-standing theories. Alongside that, it's been found in a number of studies in test tubes, that's in vitro studies, that the LDN will actually bind to a receptor called a TLR receptor. Now, TLR receptors are involved in the first point of the immune cascade for when, for example, you're attacked by a bacteria or a foreign body. So the idea is, in this theory, that the LDN is suppressing an inappropriately stimulated TLR system that is starting a cascade which then affects, for example, myelin, or causes an autoimmune reaction to continue on longer than it should.
Well, LDN is a very interesting agent for treating an array of different conditions, and currently it's being used as an off-label medication, certainly in the United States. And primarily it's for chronic medical conditions such as multiple sclerosis or fibromyalgia or gut issues. So for example, Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, or irritable bowel syndrome.
For me, 2016, I'm going to bring you back to that time period. It was a really, really rough period for me. My health was not doing very well. My life was not going very well at the time. I just have this image of myself practically hobbling around. I was limping. I had pain issues, you guys. I had a problem with my hip, a problem with my left foot at the time, a very severe issue with my shoulder that affected my arm, and a problem with my wrist. So I had carpal tunnel, I had nerve damage, bursitis, thoracic outlet. My arm would go fully numb sometimes just these 3 fingers would be numb, sometimes it would be burning, sometimes it'd be tingling, I would feel electrical impulses. Sometimes it would hurt immensely if my arm was up against my body. Sometimes it would hurt immensely if I moved it at all. It was this weird cycle of seriously painful issues with my arm. And at the same time, something else was going on with my hip, my foot, my stomach was just very messed up at the time too. A lot of people who have undiagnosed autoimmune disorders end up, prior to their diagnosis, end up having a lot of stomach issues. So that's something really to take seriously when you do have chronic stomach conditions, to try to treat it, to try to fix whatever is going on. For me, that's how mine started, and I've read a lot about that. For a lot of people with autoimmune disorders, it's very common. So I was going to the doctor a lot. I was going to physical therapy. I had to drive an hour to go to that, or even more than that. I was seeing doctors, getting scans done for all these things. I almost paid 10 grand for stem cell injection because I was so desperate to fix my shoulder issue, and it was my only hope that I had left. And I'm glad I didn't do that. If I need to look into the research to see if it would ever be worth doing in the future. So I was a mess. I ended up starting the low-dose naltrexone. I will share more details, about the dosing and about how I took it in a different video if anybody wants that, but I don't want to make this video insanely long. The other thing I wanted to mention, I didn't even mention this, is I was having severe fatigue issues. Part of it was my autoimmune disorder was just a total mess. My diet was a mess. I was having blood sugar issues. I would sometimes wake up in the middle of the night just famished, as if I was I was shaking. I was having issues, you guys, major blood sugar issues. I had no idea. I was so screwed up with my eating habits, and I didn't even realize it. I appeared to be a healthy eater to some people, but seriously, a lot of us have way too much sugar, and I believe that's why I was waking up, freaking out in the middle of the night, shaking and feeling like I was gonna die if I didn't eat the biggest bowl of cereal ever. And I would do that sometimes, and overall my health wasn't good, my body was breaking. I was a disaster, and I wasn't doing well. I didn't have a lot of energy. If I ended up doing a project, that's just a quick example, or I ended up going to visit family, I would end up having a flare-up. So I would go do something strenuous, or I would just go have a family function. I would come home and I would be wiped out for about a week or 2 weeks, where I could barely function. I could barely get anything done. I would be lucky if I could wake up and make a meal that my son and I could eat later on in the day. There were some times where the fatigue was so bad from the flare-up, I would be buying my food from this Johnny's Cafe I used to go to, and the owners were Mexican, and they would make some Mexican food for us, and it was like a lot healthier than other options. It was the best I could do at the time. And that's how I lived for a really long time. It was a rough time, and any time that I had a flare-up, my thyroid would get really swollen. It would hurt to swallow. It would feel like I was getting strep throat. And I would also get a bunch of white hairs in my eyebrow hair, pure white, not gray, not anything like that, just white. And that was the other signal that I was having, my immune system was messed up, I guess. So I started on the LDN at a low dose of about 0.25 milligrams. And I immediately had a huge increase in my amount of energy, and the pain was drastically reduced. I would say my level of inflammation was also drastically reduced, but there is something to keep in mind. My doctor would not prescribe this unless I was 100% no cheating, gluten-free. And for me, I also had to be dairy-free because it's very inflammatory and I'm lactose intolerant. And when you develop an autoimmune disorder, some people end up developing tons of food sensitivity issues. I'm one of those lucky ones where that's happened to me. And it's actually fine if you think about it in the most positive way possible, because it's forced me to become healthier. And I just cannot eat things that my body doesn't agree with, and it's not worth it to me to have gluten. Sometimes I am like, oh, I wish I could have that. but it's not worth it. It's not worth the debilitating fatigue, the swollen thyroid, the messed up thyroid levels, the antibodies, all those things that would happen. Since I started taking LDN, I actually only had 2 flare-ups since 2016. It's greatly regulated my immune system to the point where it seems like I don't have an autoimmune disorder. So it's like, holy cow, thank you. To me, that's like a miracle. And as long as my diet is good, as long as I don't have gluten. So like I said, I stopped having flare-ups. I did have I said I had 2 flare-ups since on LDN. There was a period where I got off the LDN and I was going on a trip to Vietnam, and I got very, very, very ill on that trip. And I ate gluten because I had nothing else that I could eat. I couldn't request some specialty gluten-free foods there. Where we were at, there was no way. So a combination of getting very sick and having the gluten, it really set me back. But being on the LDN, it seems like when I do have a so-called flare-up, it's so minuscule now. It's so minor. It's not like I'm deathly ill and fatigued for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's not the same. So it's really strengthened, modulated the immune system. It really feels like I don't have the autoimmune thyroid disorder. And since being on the LDN, I just want to stress something that I think is more important than the LDN itself. I feel like everything is part of a puzzle with our health, and the LDN is a part of it for mine, and it can be a part of it for you too, but I'm telling you, it's really, really more important that you adjust your health and dietary intake to to really improve things. I feel like the dietary changes are more important than the LDN. So the reason that I'm doing so much better and I have so much less inflammation in general and things are more regulated, I really feel is more related to the diet. But at the same time, this LDN has totally changed my life. But I just feel like it really wouldn't have happened if I didn't change my diet. So for me, everybody's different with how they eat. I personally need high protein, high fat, and I'm not full keto. I do believe that it can be really amazing, but I'm really pretty low carb. I do eat carbs though. It's just my diet is greatly overhauled where my sugar intake is way less. I think sugar is a huge culprit and a huge issue, but I'm not trying to get into that too much in this video, but I really do need to share how important it is because it feels like that's a huge part of why this has worked so well for me. So let's say you take LDN and it really hasn't done very much. I feel like the puzzle piece that you're missing is really overhauling the diet. I mean, some people say, oh yeah, I don't eat a lot of sugar, I'm low carb and stuff like that. And that's fine, but then they're eating, like 3 bananas in the morning. That's a lot of sugar that's going to impact your blood sugar levels. It's going to impact you. Sugar is sugar. So it's just a quick little example. I just want to share that for me, I feel like it's so hugely important. The diet and the LDN together are amazing. The one last thing that has greatly helped me with the pain is so lessened. If I didn't mention that, it has greatly improved. I do still have issues, like I still have a shoulder issue, but it's just nothing compared to how my issues were back then. The one thing that's helped me besides the LDN is taking turmeric or curcumin, and I take it twice a day. It helps me so very much with pain issues in combination with the LDN or even just by itself. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Now, I could go on and on talking about this, but I want to wrap it up and share with you a recommendation. If you have serious issues with your doctor not being willing to prescribe it, then I recently discovered a website. I'm not an affiliate with them or anything. Recently discovered a website that offers, a doctor's consultation through the website and a doctor's prescription for the LDN through the website. It says the price per month starts at $35. I'm not sure exactly what the price would be. I looked at the reviews and they seem to be quite positive, so that's very good. And a lot of clinics and things are opening up online where you can consult with doctors and get your prescriptions, which I think is really awesome. So that's one of them. And because even if you use one of those other websites like Lemonade Health or something, I don't think you have a high chance of them prescribing it. You really need like a specialty place or doctor who will do that. So at least it's available through this one website, and I'm going to link to that below. other than that, you guys, it was really hard for me to put this video together because there is so much that I could share about LDN, about the dosing, about what to expect after you start taking it. There are things that you must know once you start taking it in case your doctor isn't super knowledgeable and hasn't told you these things. I would love to share them with you in another video. So if anybody wants to know anything like that, I would love to do more videos on this, because if it's helpful, if it helps anyone in any way, I am so happy to share it. So like I said, if you have any questions or comments or anything, please ask below and I will try to answer every single one. Thank you so much for watching and take care.